All right. Hope folks are doing okay. We got, hey Laura, hey Gorl, hey Ms. Wicked Wolf, hey there Jetpack, hey Pirates, good to see ya. Mostly just listening, that is A-okay. Hey Ghost, hope folks are doing well today. I am almost fully over a cold. I'm gonna tilt that down a little bit. I'm at that phase of like talking too much too loudly for too long makes me cough, which yes, I am doing a live stream in that state, but here we are. Excuse me. Boy, I'm really being charming today. Give me a second. I need to grab a spoon. I should be prepared, but I'm not. Because that would be professional. And who do you think you're dealing with? And I'm gonna grab another thing while I'm out. There we go. Move that. So I hope everyone else is feeling better than I am. Like I said, I'm on the mend. I'm on the tail end of this thing. But it's still don't feel great. So as I pinned in a comment, while I will try and keep up with the chat, the only thing that will guarantee that I see your comment and or question is to do as a super chat, which will also get you the little gay heart of appreciation. And a personal thanks from me. Excuse me. Pulled a muscle in my chest. Ooh, I hope that gets better soon, Jason. When you're out of spoons, go get another. That only works in reality, not within the metaphor of being out of spoons, Joel. New subscriber here. I'm happy to find an inclusive community of fellow nerds. Welcome, Julie. We're happy to have you. I've had a cold for like a month now. Nothing serious, just a cough, but it's annoying. When that stuff persists for too long, yeah, it gets irritating regardless of how bad it actually is. Not seen a movie in a while, but I've been binge watching Columbo. Ooh, that's fun. That's good stuff. I've lost my spoons. It does feel like that sometimes. What was it? Oh, jeez. All these frickin' YouTube features they keep adding that I don't want and I don't use, and it keeps pestering me to, don't you want to use this? No, I don't. Like, here's the thing. It's not like all the features that YouTube ever rolls out for creators are bad. Some of them are fine, but like most of them are not for everybody. But they push them at everybody. So no matter what you do, no matter what your style is, they will push you to make use of the new features, even if they are not useful to you in particular. Just one more thing. My favorite one, as far as the bus goes, is the one with Dick Van Dyke. And you just get this quiet moment where Columbo just turns to the other cops in the room and is, were you a witness to what he just did? Were you a witness to what he just did? It's good stuff. Okay. Gotta add honey to my tea. I know I had wine in the thumbnail, but I am going to try and take care of my throat. I saw Elio. It was fun. Cool. I don't know if or when I will get around to actually watching that. Pixar, it's not even a recent thing. I was kind of over Pixar a while ago, and like when I hear some stuff is good, sometimes I'll get around to it eventually, but their output has not appealed to me in a while. I did see the trailer for The Bride. It has potential for sure. I'm not gonna, like, you know me, or maybe you don't. If you do know me, then you already know I am very mild with my optimism. It's usually about the potential of how good a thing could be, but I'm a cynic by nature. I rarely assume a thing will be good before I see it. I'm not gonna say I never do, but I rarely do. Now that's not the same as a pessimist. A pessimist thinks nothing will be good. A cynic doesn't assume that anything will be good. It's a subtle difference. I also don't assume it's going to be bad. I'm just kind of a wait and see kind of bitch. Well, no, sometimes I assume something's going to be bad if it looks bad. But if a thing looks good, I'm like, cool, that's got a lot of potential. I am hopeful. The Castrovalvans probably gathered vegetables from the surrounding wood, which explains why the celery didn't disappear. Rowan's referring to my review of the classic Doctor Who episode Castrovalva that went up in my secondary channel, The Break Room of Geeks, earlier today. And one of the observations I made is the Fifth Doctor, if you're not familiar, Peter Davison, has one of the more plain and almost kind of dull, in my opinion, kind of uninteresting fits of any of the Doctor. Sort of the most extravagant flourish is there's a piece of celery on his jacket there, and I didn't realize before it has an origin story. It came from the episode Castrovalva, but my observation was that, but this spoiler for Castrovalva, this is all fake and not real. So how does he still have the celery at the end of it? It doesn't really matter. It was just an interesting thing to note. Yeah, I did hear that they finally announced another Simpsons movie coming out. And look, honestly, I'd be more interested in giving that a shot than trying to catch up on the show. Last Simpsons movie was really good. Like, it was. So a cynic is a disappointed idealist, George Carlin allegedly. Don't think he ever said that, but it could work. And look at me, I'm wearing a vegetable. He busted out the brainy specs, too. I kind of had a little bit of that DiCaprio meme. The Thing. I know The Thing. I kind of had that moment watching it. Because I'd seen Castrovalva before, but it's been a while. There were whole chunks of it I'd completely forgotten. Supposedly his outfit is supposed to be a cricket costume. My understanding is that that's just flat out what it is. So I don't think there is a supposedly on that. But then again, I also don't know cricket. So to quote the great philosopher Raphael of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, cricket? Nobody understands cricket. You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. Gary Oldman is now a sir. Oh, I missed that. Good for him, I suppose. I remember watching Simpsons when it first came out because I'm old enough for that. I haven't watched it in years. I didn't watch it when it first came out. I think I started picking up on it around season 3 or 4. I do remember the initial wave of Bart mania, because I was in that age bracket, but I didn't actually see it for a bit. Do you think the Simpsons sequel movie will be it for the franchise? I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure they've got contracts for the cast for longer than it would take them to do another movie. So I don't think so. It maybe should be. Like, arguably, the first movie maybe should be, but Well, the first SpongeBob movie was good, too. Fair point, Nick. That is true. Meanwhile, my bluegrass playlist is the only thing getting me through uni, so I'm going to use this live chat to say thank you, Amigo the Devil, Jillian Welch, and Allison Krause. Amigo, the devil is helping you keep your sanity? That's mildly concerning, but I'm glad you found stuff that helps. Cricket is big in India too. I have picked that up, Gedrin, just from osmosis of like offhanded jokes made by British people. Usually something to the effect of how much better at it than the English Indian teams are. If Battlestar Galactica had been made a bit later, would Jack Quaid be good as Billy? I feel like he plays the kind of well-meaning but uptight and nervous character. I mean, that's sort of his MO for a lot of the roles he's played. So yeah, I guess. I mean, Billy is a character who either kind of needed a ground-up redo or needed to be cut from the show if you're going to do a remake, because wow, did they not have anything interesting for him after the first season? Haven't watched a single episode of The Simpsons. Only the steamed hams bit because it's peak. Aurora Borealis. At this time of day, at this time of year, in this part of the country, localized entirely in your kitchen. Yes. Can I see it? No. I remember when there was a moral panic about The Simpsons. Hard to imagine. Now it's so toothlessly embedded. I mean, like, that had a lot to do with just the inherent notion that cartoons were meant to appeal for kids. So despite the fact that it had a prime time slot, which means after when the family viewing is, it was still accused of like, oh, you're pushing this on children. Like, look at when it's airing. No, they're not. It was really dumb. I've never seen any Fifth Doctor episodes aside from a clip from his last one. I wish I could recommend a best Fifth Doctor. The problem is I don't like a lot of the Fifth Doctors. Castrovalva is pretty good. Earthshock's decent. Yeah, a lot of his era doesn't really click for me, though. I think it's funny that people say Simpsons predict real-life things happening. Yeah, I don't find it funny because people took it too far. Like, what happened was Simpsons has been on long enough to occasionally make a couple of observations that kind of sort of came true after a long enough timeline. That's just statistics, that is. But I don't find it fun anymore because it became a trend a year or two back for people just to make stuff up and claim The Simpsons predicted it when they just didn't. And, like, that sucked all the fun out of it for me. My partner showed me the episode where it shows why they don't have pictures of Maggie in the house. I really like that one. Haven't seen much more apart from that. That is a really good one. That's one of the heartfelt ones. I don't know if the show still does heartfelt episodes. My gut instinct is to say not really. But they used to be the highlight of the show, to be honest. Do we think a Forever Night remake would work? Maybe. I feel like you'd have to pitch it as something other than a remake because not many people know what the hell Forever Night was. I'm actually, in hindsight, kind of surprised that I know what it was. But, like, the concept could be revisited. Except, well, okay. I'm going to backtrack. In theory, it could. But the landscape has changed too much. It's very much a procedural show premise, which benefits from about 20 episodes per season episodic format. That's not the TV landscape by and large. It would have to be pretty well reworked into something serialized to have even a prayer of working in the streaming era. And I don't know if it would lose a lot of its charm doing that. It might survive, I don't know. Shaun of the Dead is as close to a cricket movie as I would want to watch. Nicely done, Joel. I like that. Do you think a major cast member dying off will finally end The Simpsons? This is going to be kind of morbid as I say it. Hopefully. because the idea that anyone else would ever be the voice of Homer or Bart or Lisa or Marge, especially Marge, or Smithers or Barney or anybody else, at that point, it feels like the show itself will have become a zombie. And I think one of the few reasons I don't bemoan the continued existence of The Simpsons is the fact that it's a lot of the same people that have been there. Not too many of the same core writers, but, they were people who were brought on by original writing staff. Some of them are still around, and then there were people brought on by the people who were brought on by original writing staff. It still feels like there's some connection, and the cast is a big part of that. And when we start losing them, it really should end. It really should. Simpsons was actually subversive in the 90s. Well, that's not entirely the Simpsons' fault, Julie, that it isn't subversive anymore. The Simpsons set out to critique and subvert standard Americana tropes, especially within sitcom scenarios. It didn't set out to reset what the standard for sitcoms was. That is what happened, but it didn't intend to do that. So, Actually, a few of the voice actors have died. Well, yeah. Yes, Jason, but not the core cast. None of them have. So we're talking absolutely Yardley Smith, Nancy Cartwright. Oh, cripes. Why can't I think of Danny Castellaneta and Julie Kavner. That was it. I couldn't think of the voice actress for Marge. Julie Kavner. You lose any of them and the show should just end. I would also argue you should probably, at least when they pass, wrap up the show quickly after. You should probably do the same if they lose either Harry Shearer or Hank Azaria. I think 100% if they lose any of the voice for the family. And if they lose one of those other two, they should probably consider wrapping it up pretty quickly after that. Some of them weren't predictions, really. Like, they made a joke about Trump being president in the future because he had been talking about running since the 90s. I mean, that's kind of what I meant, 255, when I said that's just statistics. That the show's been on so long and it's made so many jokes that some of them came true. Especially in the weird reality we currently live in, where it feels like history is being written in real time by a assembly of writers on a show that should have been canceled a decade ago, and they're trying to get fired. On remakes, the Tomorrow People had 2 remakes / reboots. Neither was good. Then again, the original wasn't much to talk about either. I actually don't know anything about the Tomorrow People aside from the title. I have heard of it. But I don't know anything about it. Is Hank Azaria still doing Simpsons voices? Yeah. The only one of his characters they retired was Apu. He's still there. He still does Mo. Yeah, I think he's Lenny. He's a bunch of the supporting cast. Yeah, he's still there. Groundskeeper Willie, that's still him. Hate to leave, but I've got a film to watch tonight for class. Have a great night. Well, enjoy the film, Yickard. Kavner is a well-known second-string actress on a lot of sitcoms before The Simpsons. Yeah, but she, like, and I didn't really come to realize this until Stu Bagfull, who, full disclosure, is a friend of mine, did his final video talking about The Simpsons, and he specifically brought up the fact that Julie Kavner is the best actor of the core cast. Not necessarily meaning by, like, does the most voices or is the funniest, but she is so often called upon to carry the emotional weight of so many stories, and she never drops the ball when she's asked to do that. And I think especially if they ever lose her, then they're never going to be able to find any. They could find somebody who could imitate the superficialness of what her voice sounds like doing Marge. I don't think they could find someone who could do that and bring the skill as an actress that she brought to that part. Could they maybe find somebody? Maybe. I would still say it's not worth trying. Tomorrow People was on Nickelodeon when I was a kid, liked it, but didn't understand it much. Oh, you mean back like when Nick at Night was like old black and white shows? Just finished watching Marvel Zombies. Gotta say I was pleasantly surprised. I keep forgetting that has come out. People are saying good things about it. I don't know. Maybe if I find myself really needing something to do on a weekend, which does not happen often, maybe if that happens, I'd watch it. But like the thing is, I don't like Marvel Zombies. Like as a concept, I don't like it. I didn't like the comic. The one-off episode of What If they did was fine. I didn't want more of it. I don't, it's not for me. I don't want it. What are your top 3 favorite sitcoms? Ooh. Oh, boy. The thing is, I haven't watched that many of what I'd actually classify as sitcoms. So give me a second. Cheers, Red Dwarf, and third sitcom. It hasn't aged great, but I really like Coupling. It's of its time, and like a lot of its humor is kind of like, ooh, wait a minute, but I like Coupling. I'm sorry, I do. Recently, Captain Midnight did a video about how Julie Kavner's voice is audibly deteriorating. I think that's a mischaracterization. She is no longer able to do with her voice what she could before. I mean, that's true. That doesn't mean her voice is deteriorating. It means she's getting older. And, you know, it's like saying that an athlete in their 60s who used to, break records at a sprint, that their athletic ability is deteriorating because they can't do that anymore. Like, no, they just got older. Like, of course they can't do what they could do, in their 20s or 30s. So, like, is he wrong that she can't really do what she used to be able to do with the voice in terms of the gravel being brought into it? Yeah, calling it deteriorating is disrespectful, honestly. I was bored with zombies before Walking Dead even started. I only watched the first season of The Walking Dead. I didn't even dislike it, but I came away going, this is doing nothing that I have not already seen. And I never came back. And given how the show went after that, I think I made the right call. Any video game favorites? Oh, Final Fantasy VI, Spiritfarer, Stardew Valley, Cloud Meadow if you're spicy. My top sitcom is MASH. Also just one of the top shows in general. MASH was one that like I've seen lots of pieces of. Both like in clips online and in people's videos where they brought it up, but also like in my life, because it was one of those shows that my grandfather used to watch. But it was also one of the ones I never like got pulled in to watch with him. And I don't mean pulled in like he brought me in, but like some of the stuff that he would watch would grab my attention enough that I'd actually watch it with him. Cheers did that. Friends would do that. Star Trek Next Generation did that. Like these in my mind are like my grandfather's shows. And he watched MASH, and I would see it, and like it was okay. I appreciate what it is for sure, but it never grabbed me, so I never really saw full episodes of that one. My spouse and I sometimes quote Coupling. Ah, excellent. You have good taste. Or you have similar taste to me. Whether or not it's good, I don't know. I know Chris Berry had some health issues recently. I hope he's doing okay. Oh, I hadn't heard about that, Rowan. I hope so, too. I like Romero-era zombies. 2000s ones mostly, I mean, the thing is that zombies in and of themselves are not really interesting. You can do interesting stories that involve zombies for sure. But unlike, say, vampires or even werewolves, the creature itself is not especially interesting. So you need to have a really good story that you want to tell that the zombies are a part of. And a lot of people don't bother to do that. Pong was peak gaming. HB Haga, I believe you mean Tennis for Two. Pong is the ripoff. I hope I got that right. I do know that Pong is actually like just a ripoff of something. I forget what it is. I might have gotten that wrong. But I decided to make a bit out of it anyway. How about zombies but with superpowers? Ooh, yeah, no, I know the premise, Reno. I just I don't super care. Shaun of the Dead was the last zombie thing I liked. I'm trying to think if there was any. I liked Warm Bodies. I don't feel the need to watch it again, but I liked that one. That one was fine. There's a post-apocalyptic series I read once where all modern technology stopped working. The first book was set in 1998, and the author decided to stick with that. In one of the later books, there's a joke about The Simpsons and how in that universe it actually stopped in the 90s, but only because the world ended. It does kind of feel like that's what it would take for The Simpsons to stop airing. Would you rank the 15th Doctor above or below the 5th Doctor on rankings? That would be spoiling an eventual Doctor's re-rank that I'm going to have to do at some point. So, I don't know. How about alien cyborg zombies like in Army of the Dead? I think you are misremembering Army of the Dead. Oh, no. My brain was thinking Army of Darkness. No, I never saw Army of the Dead. Sorry. My brain saw Army and like the D and was like horror and zombie stuff and it went Army of Darkness. So my brain went the wrong place. I don't think anyone remembered that much about Pong. ADHD brain. I gather and latch on to random small bits of information. Doesn't mean I know much about it any deeper than those bits of information in that trivia, but it will stick in my head. Fun fact, on Frankie Goes to Hollywood's debut album, there are skits involving Ronald Reagan and Prince Charles whose voices are provided by Chris Berry. That's fun. Oh, I like that. I like that. I'm so sorry for how much cringe and pain you had to endure in Strange New World Season 3. My cousin was also raging on the new season as well. It's really bad. If folks have not watched the 3rd season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, it's really, really bad. And I will grant part of that is taste. Part of that is I hate all the shipping relationship nonsense they've let take over the entire freaking show. I hate it, and I hate the cringe comedy, and those are matters of taste and my personal opinion. But even the stuff that could have been decent is still bad. Even the stuff that isn't those things is still really bad. It's not good. Oh, really awful. Damn, I've got grape skin in my teeth. Hold on. As part of Doctor's re-ranking, will you be including Richard E. Grant's animated Doctor since he appears to now have been made canon? You'll have to see, won't you, Dead Ringer? Hey there, Purple Raider. Thank you very much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you're doing well, Vera, just popping in. Thank you. I actually have to pop over to the to the Discord. See what questions are over there. Reminder, the Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk. And I will not be checking the chat in here while I go over there, and I'll try and get through these questions as quickly as I can. How are you feeling? Getting over a cold. Was meant to ask last week, which Danny are you supporting in the TikTok war? The thing is, I don't know the other Danny. I kind of only know Danny Mata, but I also don't want to support somebody by default, so I guess I'm a neutral party. Remember to drink plenty of fluids after a cold. Where'd I put my water? I finished my tea. Where's my water? What is the worst pun you've ever heard? I don't know. I don't memorize puns. I will say with some degree of certainty that it was probably something said by my occasional burlesque co-host, Bo Peepers, on stage into a microphone. He probably said the worst pun I ever heard. I just can't remember what it was. What do you make of the state of independent animation with studios like Glitch? Well, independent animation is in an exciting place right now. We'll see how it manages and where it lands. Like, what Glitch is doing is really exciting, but also not every studio can do what Glitch does. Put out something that polished to hype people up for it. So I still think there's a lot of room for animators who have a lot of talent, but also can't pull together something as polished as the pilots that Glitch puts out. And I would love to see more points of entry that are viable for folks kind of in those positions. That having been said, seeing what Glitch is doing is exciting if you are a fan of independent animation. So it's a positive development overall. Are puns truly the lowest form of humor? No. Fart jokes and pain are the lowest forms of humor. I distinguish pain from slapstick. Slapstick can be very funny, usually having to do with quality timing. But, some people think it's just funny when someone else is in pain, and they're wrong. What's the airspeed of an unladen swallow? You've asked that one before. Check previous answers. If all cops are bastards and all dogs are good boys or girls, where does that leave police dogs? Joking. It leaves police dogs needing to be rehomed away from cops. That's where it leaves police dogs. Do you think there is ever a point in a story where a queer character survives long enough that their death can no longer be considered barrier queers, or does every queer death contribute towards it no matter when in the story it happens? Without going into spoilers, I'm thinking of specific characters in Andor and Squid Game. I don't think whether or not something is a barrier gaze is dependent on how long the character is around. I think it is dependent on the circumstances of the death and the context within the greater show. Of the two that you cited, I personally don't think Squid Game would count as a barrier gaze, barrier queers issue, just because by the very premise of that show, virtually everybody is expected to die, meaning that the queer person is in no way singled out. And in Andor, I would say that it is a barrier gaze because they brought a character who'd been away, brought them back, and then had the death mostly in order to impact their queer partner. So it was borderline fridging, and I would absolutely count that as a barrier queers. So it really doesn't have to do with amount of time on screen. It has to do, everything is about context. Context is everything. It has to do with context and specifics of how this all happens, the situation overall and the characters in particular. Recently, an episode of Breaking Bad reclaimed the distinction of having every episode rated an 8.0 or higher on IMDb after a specific episode got review bombed. Between the 10 multi-season TV shows that currently hold that distinction, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Dark, Daredevil, Utopia. Daredevil? Like the Netflix, every episode is over an 8? Oh, no! Utopia Aspirants, Peaky Blinders, Faulty Towers, Attack on Titan, and Arcane. Which do you think is the most worthy of the high praise they've gotten? Some of these I haven't seen. I don't know, man. Like, the ones I've seen are perfectly fine shows, or at least had at least one season of being perfectly good shows. Daredevil, Arcane. But I don't know, man. I'm not in the business of like the all-time greats. Like the GOAT conversation, the greatest of all time conversations, I don't care. And I can't wrench my brain into a thinking space where I can make myself care enough to actually answer that question. Not that it was bad that you asked it. I'm just a bad person to inquire. Do you think Alien Earth was at all implying Boy Cavalier's callousness was because of his ADHD? No, I don't think it was. They actually very specifically bring up impulse control related to his ADHD. A lack of focus and impulse control. They do not tie it to his callousness. That having been said, I did not enjoy them deciding at literally the last episode to name his condition at the very end. If you wanted, like, he was ADHD coded, and that was fine. And if you wanted to label him ADHD, say, early on in the first episode, I probably would have been okay with that too. But doing it literally at the end, when he's been proving himself to be the worst person in the cast, not worst character, he's a good character, but the worst human being in the room on multiple occasions, to suddenly go, oh, and he has ADHD. You know what? Speaking of someone who has ADHD, that doesn't make me feel good. So, no, they didn't imply that. I still would rather they hadn't done it. Okay, so these next two are about Battlestar Galactica, which if folks don't know for some reason, I'm watching through for the first time with Jesse Gender. We have a podcast, goes up on the break room of Geeks. We're almost done with season 2. Do you think having a place where people in the colonial fleet can go to enjoy a facsimile of luxury is a good enough reason to be maintaining Cloud 9 in its pre-war state? You keep complaining about the fact they're maintaining that thing, but they're very clearly doing it so people have a place to go and chill. That's not just a space airline seat. No! No! That is no! No, that is not a good enough reason because context. Am I opposed to the idea of there being a place in a dire situation where people can go and have some semblance of normalcy or a tiny taste of good life that is largely denied of them? No. Here's the problem. They reinstituted capitalism. We know that. They brought money back. It's a moneyed system. There are people who are desperate, who can't even get medicine. I promise you, none of them are going to that limited seating, I'm gonna swear because this pisses me off, that limited seating fucking restaurant in Cloud 9 with the fancy waiters and the top tier drinks. None of the people who are destitute and scraping the bottom of the barrel, just trying to get medicine to get through the damn day, have a chance to get in there. So no, it's not okay for Battlestar Galactica in universe for resources to be put towards maintaining this luxury fucking cruise liner that is being denied to a huge chunk of the population. Its existence is amoral, probably was before we were in a situation where humanity is down to about 50,000 people. And now it is completely indefensibly amoral. I'm sorry, that question kind of ticked me off. And I'm not even necessarily ticked off at you. I'm infuriated at Battlestar Galactica as a show for failing to interrogate that. That they just reinstitute a luxury cruise liner with a luxury restaurant like literally a couple of episodes after they showed us the black market and how desperate so many people were. That they're going to show us where the upper half live and not interrogate the fact that that probably shouldn't exist. It's infuriating to me. Battlestar Galactica can be very good. It has a lot that it does that really ticks me off. Suppose the Cylons weren't in Battlestar Galactica. Like, suppose you just replace the Cylon attack with a supernova destroying the colonies. The show was entirely about the logistics and ethics of trying to keep 50,000 humans alive on a bunch of spaceships. Would you find a show like that particularly interesting? Given that I've been kind of bored out of my mind the last 5 or 6 episodes or so, because we haven't had anything interesting with the bigger philosophical ideas with the Cylons, and we've been dealing with the kind of stories that you would tell in that scenario, no, I think I'm going to say I wouldn't find that very interesting. At least not as done by that writing crew. Any horror movies that make you seethe? For me, it's any supernatural based on a true story huckster propaganda. Ah, not a fan of the Conjuring franchise, I see. I mean, obviously the big one was The Shining, but I have over an hour-long video talking about why I can't stand that movie, so I don't have another one off the top of my head. Robert Redford Rex. His episode of The Twilight Zone, Sneakers, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting. Those would be my personal top Rex. There's a bunch of stuff that he did that I still haven't seen that I want to, that I've heard is very good, but those are the ones I've seen. Any thoughts on the Land and the Sea miniseries? No! What is there to even have thoughts about? It's not coming out till next year, and we know almost nothing. There isn't even enough for me to have an opinion. All right, I am back, chat. Let's see here. Stick with Battlestar, it gets more interesting. Yeah, that's what Jesse's been promising me for like half a season now. We'll see. She has been swearing up and down that it gets better again. Yeah, I hope she's right. Is Twilight Zone like Love, Death, and Robots? No. It's tonally, it's nothing like it. Twilight Zone, the only ways in which Twilight Zone is like Love, Death, and Robots is that it is a sci-fi and fantastical anthology show. But it's not animated. It's not as fantastical. It's not violent the way that Love, Death, and Robots is. It's not exploitative. The tone is completely 100% different. Just being a fantastical and or sci-fi leaning anthology show does not make those two similar at all. Not at all. Alex Kingston is currently competing in Strictly Come Dancing. You just know they'll get her dancing with a Dalek if she makes it to TV Themes Week. Can she shoot it at the end of the routine? Sneakers was fun. Undercover Blues was great. I don't know Undercover Blues. Sneakers was a good time. I think Sneakers was the first thing I saw Robert Redford in. Have you been watching Peacemaker? Sure, Peter. I've had reviews going up in my secondary channel. Go check out Break Room of Geeks. Would you feel better if they established they were drawing lots to spend time in Cloud 9? I'm not gonna go on to a hypothetical back and forth with you. They didn't do that. I'm gonna judge what they did. Twilight Zone is more like Black Mirror, but not tech-themed. Well, sometimes it is. Just not tech-themed in the same way. I would say it's closer to Black Mirror. Black Mirror had a lot narrower focus. Twilight Zone actually had a pretty broad range of things that it would do. Twilight Zone was so good. It was so good! I still haven't seen all of it. I've been kind of bouncing around because it's an anthology show and you can do that. Yeah, though, Twilight Zone was a really good show. And especially, like, the more you learn about Rod Serling and, you know, his ethos and his mentality and the things that he believed in and wanted to push back against, mad respect to the guy. Supreme Omega! Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that immensely. Unlike Uncle Ben or the Waynes, people today are more reluctant to have Pa Kent dead. It didn't used to be that way. Pre-Crisis, both Kents were dead. The Kents have gone back and forth, though. Because pre-Crisis, the Kents were dead, and then they were around, and they've been dead in some movies, and they die in the course of some movies, or one of them does, usually paused. Now we're having neither. Like, I think it's a matter of personal preference. I don't, because, like, you can tie the death of one or either of them to something that drives Clark to be Superman. This is something that, like, the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman did. And you can absolutely use that as like a life lesson where he dies of a heart attack or something, like not the tornado. That was very stupid. But you have him die of a heart attack or something and can be that lesson to Clark that no matter what you do, you cannot save everyone. You can definitely build off that, but it's not required. It's demonstrably not required. So it's not as baked in and necessary as Uncle Ben or the Waynes, where that is literally a case of, had those people not died, then Peter wouldn't be, he might be Spider-Man, but not the way he is, and Bruce wouldn't have become Batman, like at all. Those characters are fundamentally changed by removing their dead relatives. Superman, he's not like, again, you can have Pa Kent's death be a particular kind of lesson to him, and you can have that play out and have it matter, but Superman isn't Superman because somebody died. He's Superman because he wants to help and he has the power to do so. He does not require a dead parent motivation. Bruce does, because unless you have some pretty notable trauma and damage, you would not come to the conclusion, I'm going to be a bat and beat people up in alleys. And Peter needed it as the harsh lesson as to the harsh lesson as to how he should or shouldn't be using the powers that he had found himself in possession of. So those ones are really necessary. News broke out revealing Terrence Stamp pre-shot scenes for Priscilla, Queen of the Desert 2 months before his passing. I'm shocked that film is happening. They've been talking about it for ages, and I still don't think they have it solidly locked down. He just wanted to be sure that he got to appear in it if and when it does happen. I think that was really sweet that happened. I have seen some of the write-ups about it, because since they had to shoot him in isolation, like he's not with the other actors. So they are talking about deep faking his performance that he shot for the movie, but deep faking it onto a body double as the end result, which like I just don't love that in general. But then again, like, this is a case where he very specifically wanted to take part in this specific movie, so it's not like a Peter Cushing in Rogue One or a Ian Holm in Alien Romulus situation where it's like you can't ask these people to be involved. They were dead before this project was even conceived. So it's at least it's not that. Is Black Mirror like The Twilight Zone because that was Charlie Brooker's intent? It's like The Twilight Zone insofar as the point of any given episode, more than anything, is to illuminate an aspect of humanity, is to show you a side of people, and to use fantastical means to do that. Now, it's different insofar as The Twilight Zone was all over the place. Like, The Twilight Zone was flat out supernatural at times. It would engage with, flat out straightforwardly with notions of God and the devil and an afterlife and like frickin', but at the same time also aliens from Venus and far in the future, but also maybe some set in the past. Like it was really way less restrained, whereas Black Mirror, with a couple of exceptions, has been much more focused on more or less attainable or at least feasible types of technology that are close enough to what we now have that they're barely fantastical, and it's showing what that brings out of people. So the intent is kind of similar. The mechanics of Black Mirror are a lot more restrained. Is Outer Limits good? Some of it is. I haven't seen as much of Outer Limits as I have of Twilight Zone. Do you hear there's going to be a new Simpsons movie? Yeah, Peter talked about it earlier. Pocket Tornado is iconic. Iconically bad? Sure. Really like the Castrovalva review. Thank you. Are we still getting the Black Guardian trilogy review this year, or are those reviews going to be pushed back to next year? Yeah, that might not happen this year. It's going to happen. It's on the docket. That might be next year now. Do you remember the Outer Limits, the 90s version? Yeah, I saw some of those before I saw any of the original Outer Limits. Not that I saw that much of it, but I saw a bit. That's actually funnily enough that we've had conversations of Black Mirror come up, because one of my least favorite episodes of Black Mirror is Men Against Fire, and part of the reason I don't like it very much is because both in terms of twist and structure and execution, it is nearly identical to an episode of the 90s Outer Limits. And so it is the Black Mirror episode I look at and see the least original ideas in, either in terms of core concept or execution. Goblins on a plane week. Gremlins. Pirates. It was Gremlins. My date took me to Alien Romulus. He thought the Ian Holm thing was cool. Insta breakup. I'm not sure you need to break up with somebody over that. I didn't like it, though. Like, Jessie likes that movie so much more than I do. And I still talk to her, so. I dislike people saying Black Mirror is just technophobic. It's about people and social structure and what tech enables. Yeah, anyone who says Black Mirror is technophobic either hasn't watched it or hasn't paid attention when they have. Because it's not technology bad. Black Mirror is people flawed. And here is some of the human flaws that could be made worse through certain kinds of technology. So 1st of October now in the UK. Ooh, witchy season. Do you plan to see Avatar Fire and Ash? I still haven't seen The Way of Water. So, no. Keep forgetting that's coming out. Best/favorite Monty Python sketch. Oh, I don't know. That's one that I really feel like I'm going to give a completely different answer to, depending on when you ask me. Favorite Monty Python sketch. And we're not dealing with my opinions of any of the members of Monty Python because, yeah, no, don't want to. Favorite Monty Python sketch. I really like the blackmail sketch. That's what's coming to my head right now. Yeah. I don't know if that's the best, but I really do like that one. Aside from Burgess Meredith, I think Jack Klugman was the actor that Twilight Zone best knew how to utilize. He was good. Burgess Meredith was legendary on that show, though. I still don't think I've seen all the episodes he's in. Best one he's in, though, The Obsolete Man. I know, like, everyone, the iconic one that he was in. Oh, and Coyote Azul. Thank you very much for the super chat, before I forget. And, like, everyone talks about There Was Time Now, because that's got, like, the real memorable ending moments. But The Obsolete Man is so good. Holy crap, it's so good. Burgess Meredith, just as a performer, was excellent. And he is so good in that episode specifically. And especially, like, right now, if you want to understand why I have such insane levels of respect for the Twilight Zone and Rod Serling and what it stood for and what it believed in and the values of that. Because like people who haven't watched the Twilight Zone, they think that it's just a twist factory. It's just all about the twist. It's not. The best episodes have something to say. And The Obsolete Man might be my favorite episode of the entire show. And if you want something in this moment in time to give you, that sense of like, okay, yeah, maybe we can get through this, I would really recommend watching The Obsolete Man. So good. Give me all your Lupins. Yeah, that's a fun one too, Aaron. Ooh, How to Argue is a good one. That one's real good. Did you know there's a John Candy documentary coming out on Amazon? I did. I saw a trailer for it. I don't know if I'll watch it, but, we'll see. I bet Boy Cavalier himself tries to claim ADHD as an excuse for his assholishness, like given that some of the people he's based on claim about being neurodivergent. Possibly. I would think if you're making the comparison to some of the other... this is venturing too close to politics, but some of the other wealthy dickheads that we deal in real time and how sometimes it is neurodivergence is cited, it's actually usually not an excuse in the strictest sense. It's not you should forgive them because they can't help it because of this. It is you should never judge them in the first place because of X. It's actually used more as a shield than an excuse. It's a fine detail, but I think it matters. Really wish Big Finish Audio would do a 5 and Perry box set. Kind of surprised they haven't. Two of Monty Python's members are no longer with us. I'm aware, Adrian. The Goodies was funny too. I don't really know that one. I've heard of it. I don't really know that one though. we just got the Python quotes flying now. We've got spam, egg bacon and spam, egg sausages and spam, spam, baked beans, spam and spam. And lobster thermidor traversed with bolognese sauce, garnished with truffle on top and spam. A while back, I got an anarchist to watch The Obsolete Man, and he said, yeah, but this is true of all states. I mean, that would be an anarchist's position. That's consistent. I don't know if I consider myself a true anarchist. I am certainly anarchy sympathetic, though. And, understand when I say anarchy, I'm not talking about, anarchy, like the corporatized nonsense version of anarchy, or it's all chaos. No, the political position of anarchy. I am certainly sympathetic to. Jasonuity! Thank you very much for the super chat. You got it in under the wire. I'm going to be wrapping up soon. What's I think you meant a book. What's a book you would like to be adapted that's never had an adaptation? A book that's never had an adaptation that I think would be good. Give me a second. God, they really have optioned so many things and made at least one bad movie out of most of them, haven't they? No, that would make a better TV show. Boy, normally I don't stall this long. Normally by this point I'd have said I can't come up with a good answer, but you paid a super chat, so I'm really trying to think of something here. My book. They should be adapting my book. Hollywood, call me. I still feel like I should have an actual answer to that. Hang on. Let me check something here real quick. I'll pull something up, see if it'll jog a thought in my head. Let's see. I don't think that'd work. No. They already did that. Nope. No. That's been done. That's been done. That's been done. Oh! Something by Christopher Moore. Let's go with... see, like, the easy one to adapt from Christopher Moore would be Blood-Sucking Fiends. What I'd like to see adapted from him would be Lamb. That would be amazing. Oh, that would be incredible. If you know Christopher Moore, not everybody does, but if you know his stuff, and if you know Lamb... Ooh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy. So I'm going to call it a night on that one. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. So coming up, tomorrow I will be streaming on the Break Room of Geeks channel. I think I'm going to stream Hades 2 since that had its 1.0 launch. And just more stuff will be out. I've got a lot of stuff coming out on the Break Room. I've been trying to catch up on some stuff. So there's a lot of stuff coming out on there. Saturday's video, which is not in early access yet, I'm working on it, is going to be... It's going to be interesting. It's going to be judging and ranking the hear me outs of my audience. It will be an interesting time. Kind of a fun experiment, kind of a silly video. We'll see how it does. But thank you all very much for joining me. You all take care of yourselves. Be well, be safe, be kind, and remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. The cavity!